Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson. You're watching the 505 on Racing Show. Welcome. Hope everybody had a nice holiday weekend, depending on what you did for the holiday. I know I had a great time. Got to see my girls. It's always good to see my girls. And you know, it's funny. Like NASCAR takes this week off for the, at least in the Cup Series and the Nationwide, and the top. I think it's the top 3 series. They take this weekend off. It's like this and Mother's Day. I think Mother's Day they run Saturday night in the Nationwide. But anyway, it's a welcome break for a lot of the teams this time of year, even though it's kind of early in the season. But it's a welcome break. You get to regroup the teams that are struggling a little bit, maybe. And for the teams that are on a roll, maybe they don't want to see the week off. But it's good to have a weekend off every once in a while, no matter what you're doing. Whether you're doing this to make money or you're doing this to have a good time. But you know, there's other things in life besides racing. You know, we tend to forget that sometimes. I know I look back at all the things that I missed out on, at least. You know, and I can remember people would say to me or friends, "Hey, I got engaged and get married. Oh, when you get married? Oh, I'll get in July, the third Saturday." And I'm like, wow, it's gonna be nice. I can't go home racing. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us plan our lives, and I say us, so those of us involved with racing, you know, we plan our summer activities around the race schedule. Now, I've said a dozen times or so in the past about how years ago we didn't look at a schedule. We knew our local racetrack was Saturday night. The main divisions were running, you know, every week. There were no weeks off. It's different now. And I don't know if it's different because the economy has changed so much or the way we do business as racers has changed. We continue to go racing every week and week in and week out. But what I'm finding, and I see this with a lot of teams, you know, and let's take our weekly guys, and not just here on Long Island, but all throughout the country. You know, the weekly racing series, it's, you know, struggling just like every other business in the United States of America. Yeah? But when you look at this new scheduling, I'll call it, what's happening, in my opinion, what's happening is this. A competitor who is loyal to the XYZ series and goes to every XYZ event for years and years and years, and all of a sudden that schedule changes. Now, I think I said not too long ago when I was packing some stuff up, I found a T-shirt for, I believe it was the 2003 Whelen Modified Tour Series, back when it was the Featherlight Modified Series. And I found this T-shirt, and it had all the races listed on the back. And if I'm not mistaken, there were 26 events, starting with the Icebreaker at Thompson and ending with the World Series at Thompson. But there were 5 Thompsons, there was 5 Staffords, you know, Riverhead, Beach Ridge, Holland up in New York, and Beach Ridge up in Maine. Let's see, Seekonk. I mean, there were races all over the place, and you basically raced, if not every week, 3 out of 4. Now what's happened is the schedule's, you know, 15, 16 races, at least in the modified series here in the Northeast, and that spreads out from April through October. So there's 6 months and 15 races. So that's 6 months, there's 26 weeks. So there's 10 weeks off. So what happens in those 10 weeks? A racer is going to go racing. A racer is going to find another series, another track, another division, something. And that's, I think, is what's happening. You know, there's a handful of modified racing series that are out there. And, you know, with that, what's happening is there's been a shift. And I can remember in not that far back, you know, maybe 10 years ago, not even, sending home in the modified, sending home, when I mean send home, they didn't qualify, sending home more cars than we were racing some events. I remember going to Riverhead, we had, you know, 55, 60 cars, and we started, I think, 28. A lot of guys and gals went home. And looking at, you know, it's, for reasons known to only myself right now, I look at the Riverhead qualifying over the last 8, 10 years. The difference between making the pole and sitting on the pin and going home is like under 0.3 of a second. Tough place to qualify. Tough place to race. Some good races, but a tough place to race. Tough. The hardest part there is qualifying. It's the hardest part. I mean, 0.3 of a second is a hiccup. And then there's some of the other bigger tracks where it might not be tenths of a second, but when you're going at the speeds that you go at New Hampshire, for instance, and not that they have trouble filling the field there, but when they did, half a second was the difference between the pole and going home. Now, you had a couple of guys maybe that were more than a half a second, maybe they were 2 or 3 seconds. But when you look at that, when you go back and look at that, it's, wow. It really is. It's incredible. But again, you have a lot of, what's the word? All the modified series, I think, are becoming diluted because you have a handful of guys running this modified series, a handful of guys running that modified series, a handful of guys running this modified series. And you find some guys and gals going from one to the other. And when I say one to the, you don't see a lot of I'll say the MRS teams coming to the Whelen Modified Tour for whatever reason. And talking to some of them, a lot of them say it has to do with cost. And in reading the rules on the MRS compared to the tour, the Modified Tour, the cost is different. Licensings are different. What's required for the crews, because there's no pit stop, so you don't need 4 or 5 guys to come down and help you out and put them in fire suits, helmets, and shoes and whatnot. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm thinking if I'm going to be working on a car, I want to be protected no matter what series I'm in. But how did that happen? And the purses that they're running for are a lot less. And I remember, I think I said this not too long ago, Ed Cox met with some key owners a few years back when the True Value series was just kicking in for the modifieds. And there was a handful of tour regulars who were running that series. And Ed said, guys, if you continue to run this show in this series, you're going to see that, the promoters are going to see that you're willing to race for XYZ to win. And you're going to hurt our series. And they all laughed and they're, no, that's not going to happen, but it's happening. It's happening because promoters are business people. Promoters want to make money. Promoters, they don't do this for a hobby like a lot of the racers do. Promoters do this because this is their business, and their window of opportunity to make money is real short. And a lot of them, it's April through October, and throw in a couple of rainouts, they have a 20-week season. Now, it's really not a 20-week season, it's a 20-day season. So think about how much you lose by missing a day. Think about your own job. If you only work 20 days a month and you got to pay all your bills in those 20 days and you miss a day, it hurts. Just something to think about, folks. 'Cause I know a lot of times people blame NASCAR and they blame the promoters and they blame the racetracks and they blame the officials. They want to put the blame. Why did this happen? A lot of this happened because we as competitors want to race every week. So we race in other places. And look what's happening. And a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but it's just one of those things, folks. The car counts are low in the weekly series. And why is that? Well, it's not one single thing. In my opinion, it's not one single thing. Officials have been making what competitors call bad calls since racing started. And depending on which end the call you're on, whether it's a good call or a bad call. Because and I'll tell you what, I've been doing this for a long time. When I say this, involving racing for a long time, I've never heard a driver get out of his race car and say, nope, the official right, nope, I strike that. Bill Park of Riverhead about 12, 14 years ago, I black flagged him. And his crew came up screaming at me, screaming at me. Those who aren't familiar with Riverhead, there's a ramp that I kind of watch the races from, and can I see the far corner as well as the near corner? No, but I had a man down there, I had an official down there that would watch that, and we're under caution, and Bill Park, he felt he was wronged by so-and-so, and I didn't see that. My cornerman didn't see it, so Bill decided to take matters into his own hand, and he crashed into him and took off a wheel or something. So as they're coming around, now he hit it with an old bumper, but when it was coming around, I put the black flag out and pointed to the pits, and he went screeching off the track and all angry, but his crew comes running up screaming at me. He didn't do that, he didn't do that, he didn't. And then Bill gets out of his car and he comes running up, and I think he's gonna run out and yell at me, and he went and said to his crew, guys, I did what he said I did. So, correct me, one driver in all those years, in the 6,000 plus events that I've officiated in my lifetime, one driver, because it's never their fault. It's never the driver. And that was the same way when I drove, when we got into it with somebody. No, it was my fault. You came down on me, you came up on me, you did this, you did that, And I look back and, probably 9 times out of 10, it wasn't my fault. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what people what they expect. But like I said, bad officiation. It's not. I don't believe that any official shows up at a racetrack and says, "I think I'm going to do bad today. Who can I mess around with?" Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I know I always went to the racetracks over the years with the intent to do the best that I could under the circumstances I was provided with. And you know what? Many given date, a lot of people wouldn't agree with some of the calls I made or the decisions I made, but it's a tough thing. You call it based on how you see it. And it's like the old, the car accident in your neighborhood on the corner. Police show up and they start talking to people, and they talk to 4 people, and 4 people have 4 different versions of what happened. They looked at the same wreck, the same accident in their corner. Who saw this, who saw that, who saw the other thing? Reminds me of a class I took in law school. It was evidence and procedure. First day of the class, the professor walks in, and we're all sitting in the room, and of course they write their name on the blackboard, and I think they use whiteboards now with dry erase. But anyway, it was with chalk and slate. They wrote on it. They wrote their name, Professor so-and-so. And with that, the professor starts talking about the curriculum, what we're going to learn, what we're going to talk about. And with that, as he's in the middle of his introduction, 3 guys walked in and appeared to beat him up. Now, what we didn't realize is that the 4 guys sitting in the front chairs who were there breaking it up really weren't breaking it up. What they were doing was holding the class back from doing something to the perpetrators. The guys who were beating him up run out of the classroom, they run down the hall in different directions, and then the professor starts yelling, everybody write down what you saw, I'm calling campus security, we're going to find out, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And he's all ranting and raving, his glasses are broke. I mean, it was all staged, it turns out, it was all staged. So now campus security is on the way, and he tells everybody, write down what you saw. Just write it down so it's fresh in your mind. Campus security comes in, and what happens? He goes, did everybody write down everything? Who didn't do it? Nobody raised their hand because we all did it. And we all want to be helpful because, it's good for brownie points. So now he says, okay, folks, I really wasn't getting beat up. And these big guys in the front, they're on the football team, and they were there to hold you back. And he brings in the perpetrators, supposedly. They poked their head in the door, and they kind of left. And he says, all right, now one by one, we're going to stand up and read what we saw. And depending on how can I... One person said the guys were big, one person said they were little, one guy said they were black, one guy said they were white, another one person said they were Hispanic, or who had brown hair, who had yellow hair, who had red hair, who was bald, who was wearing jeans, who was wearing dress pants. Not one person in this classroom had the same thing. Because we all see things different. That's just the moral of the story. So as an official, you see things differently from what the competitor. And remember, as a crew member, a spotter, a crew chief, you're watching primarily, for the most part, your race car, not the 30 others that are out there whereas an official's trying to watch all of them. So you're going to notice every bump and ding and push and shove that your car gets, not realizing what's going on around him or her. Anyway, yes, talking about officiating. Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some stuff that's going on here locally and whatever else we're going to talk about. Some of the stuff's going on with Cup and all that good stuff. We'll be back.
And be sure to watch In or Out, pun intended, on Friday nights on inravio.com.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
and organic,
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On inravio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
inravio.com.
Hey, we're back. Hey, this week at Stafford Motor Speedway at Stafford Springs, Connecticut, they'll have the Spring Sizzler. It's always a good event. It's Stafford's way of kicking off the season for the modifieds. You know, Thompson always has the icebreaker, and it's the first points race. And the Spring Sizzler, I believe it's like the 41st annual, if I'm not mistaken, for the modifieds. Well, the Spring Sizzler itself, you know, Stafford. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite places to go. Whether it's as a fan, as a competitor, as an official, I was always treated well there. And, you know, the Roots have a nice facility there. The food's decent. I just like the layout of the place. It's just, there's everything about that place I just like. And, you know, it's funny. It was a guy that I did a radio show with years ago when I was on Speed Racing Radio, Mike Fields. Mike Fields had told me all about this place, Stafford Motor Speedway. And I looked at a map. I said, oh, I'm not going to go all the way up there. Oh, are you kidding? I'm not going there. And then when I went there as a tour official, I was like, wow, I wish I would have came here. And I knew a couple of guys that went up there and ran what they had back then as pro stocks. Tommy Ryan, for one, who was now with Hendrick. He raced figure eights at Riverhead and then moved to pro stocks at Stafford. I remember getting a Christmas card from Tommy Ryan. It was a picture of his car at Stafford. And even then I was like, oh man, it was a beat up guardrail and I don't know. That was kind of funny. You know, I was a Riverhead guy. So it was one of those things. So let's see. The NASCAR Wheeler Southern Modified Tour went to Caraway to get rained on, and the K&M Pro Series each will be at Richmond this weekend, so it's all good. Anyway, people asking questions in the chat room, so no better time to go in. We lost Kenny Hyde Sr. today. Kenny passed away suddenly. Before I went to air, I was trying to find out, the cause of death, and I wasn't able to get anybody who knew. But Kenny Hyde, for those who don't know, he was a figure eight racer for many, many years. I remember when I started racing figure eights at Riverhead back in the late 80s. Kenny was just starting out himself in figure eights. And him and I, we didn't always see eye to eye in the racetrack, nor did we see eye to eye on the racetrack either. But Kenny and I did a little story I always tell about this guy. Him and I decided we were going to put on a show and wreck each other. So it was lap one, turn one. He sent me into the fence. I went in, bent up some sheet metal, knocked the car out of tow and whatnot. So I waited for my opportunity, and while the line is back up, of course I was last. I pulled up alongside of him, and he gave me the signal. No brakes, no brakes. All right, we'll see. And then a few laps later, when he was coming up to lap me, all of a sudden I didn't have any brakes either, and I sent him into the wall. And then we stopped at the X. Well, I stopped at the X because the traffic was coming. One of the few times that I did stop at the X. And I see in my mirror Kenny coming around the corner, and I said, man, I gotta go. And it wasn't an opening. Well, he lines up right behind me, and he just drops the clutch and mashes the pedal, and he pushes me through the intersection. I got hit by half the field. Bill Steen, he went airborne over me. We literally took out half the field. Then we just started backing into each other, hitting each other on the racetrack. And of course, we were asked to leave the facility and go meet with the officials there after the show, which we did. And we both got a hefty little fine and a little vacation. And we used to joke about it years later. The hardest part of that suspension wasn't sitting out, wasn't paying the fine. It was having to sit in the grandstands with our kids. His kids, Kim and Kenny Jr. were quite young at the time, as were my girls, and there we were, as our wives were in the pit area having a grand old time. But we didn't see eye to eye over that event. But the funny thing about it was, and I'll never forget this, come back from suspension, and I have that bad wreck, and of course everybody knows what happened there and in the hospital. And the first guy that came to my house after I was released from the hospital was Kenny Hyde. And he put his head in my door and he said, I'll never forget this, he goes, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm good, I'm a little mangled up, but I'm good, I'll heal. And he goes, you need anything? I said, no, I'm good, everything like that. And he goes, well, I just want to let you know, he goes, we hate each other on the racetrack. I hate you, you hate me, and that's how it's going to be. He goes, but when something like this happens, we got to all stick together. And I'll never forget that. It took a lot for that guy to drive from his house in Medford all the way to my house in Babylon, not knowing what the reaction was going to be, whether I was going to say, get the heck out, whatever. And his wife came in first, his wife at the time. She came in first and wanted and spoke to my wife and said, Kenny's outside, can he come in? And he just wants to see Joe. And yeah, sure, bring him in, And that's just what it is, But he was that type of guy. Kenny, he always had immaculately prepared race cars, the purple race cars, and his purple T-shirts, and he had won the best appearing car award numerous times, and in the figure eight class, that's not an easy task to do. I mean, I always joked around. I said, you get in a wreck on Saturday. What's the first thing you do Sunday? Do the body panels to make it look good? What, do you have a whole supply later on? I used to tease about that. The following week, it came back all looking good. The tea house in place, the lettering all in place. Like he had a whole string of race cars sitting in a shop somewhere. Little did most people know he worked out of his garage in his driveway. 1999, 2000, and 2003, Kenny was the national figure eight champion, winning that event. That used to be the world championship figure eight race. The guy could drive a race car. But, championships just seemed to elude him. He worked hard. He fought hard on the racetrack and in the pit area some nights too. But he never got that championship, the points championship, the title. He always fell a little bit short. But his son took care of that last year, winning the championship in the figure eights at Riverhead Raceway. And I know I just saw a picture today of the joy that they had together doing that. Not only on the racetrack when he had one of those wins, but also at the banquet, the Safer banquet. And presenting Kenny. I had the opportunity to present Kenny Hyde Jr. with what they call the Perpetual Cup for figure eight racing that John Wellman started through the Big Brothers Big Sisters. And it's like the Stanley Cup of figure eight racing. Kenny Hyde, he was a good guy, Kenny Hyde. And, it's funny. If I needed something, he had it, I had it, and vice versa. Even though we had, we wrecked each other and we had some nights that we were rolling on the pavement, but, when I needed something, I could call him. He'd be there, whether it was a U-joint, a transmission, a shifter, a wheel, a welder, whatever I needed, a tow. He was in the towing business. And it's funny, what do I owe you? Whatever, we'll trade off, whatever. But Kenny Hyde, he was a good guy. He will be missed. And here at Enravio and 505 on, our hearts are out to Kenny and his family. Viewing will be in Medford, New York on Horse Park Road at the McManus Laurie Funeral Home Thursday. I believe it's 2 to 4 and 7 to 9, Thursday, April 24th. If anybody knew Kenny, knows his family, even people that don't know him, keep them in your prayers tonight and throughout the season. Let's keep, every time you watch a figure eight race, think of Kenny. We'll be back.
Hey, Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On InRavio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
Hi, I'm Dave Canfield, host of Nerdgasm.
I'm Joe Winchell. Nobody likes me.
And I'm Peppercorn Montgomery.
Tune in every Wednesday night only on InRavio.com to hear the greatest nerd discussion of all time. It is Nerdgasmic.
It'll be the best nerdgasm you've ever had.
Hey, we're back. Yeah, well, during the break, I'm scrolling through the chat room to see some of the things that are being discussed today. MyRaceNews.com, WJ, had commented how Stafford Motor Speedway disrespects internet media. And he's not wrong in that thought process. And maybe disrespects the media is a little strong, but you know, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Think about all the internet.com people who follow the races, cover the races. Some of them, because that's what they do, and they get the word out to the rest of the people who maybe weren't there or who were there and need a different perspective. And then there's the ones who take advantage of that. They're gonna say that they're in internet media so they can get into the races for free, and you know they're out there. So, you know, Stafford kind of weeds through that, or at least tries to. Now, and I know the incident, not the incident, it's a major thing with MyRaceNews.com not being recognized at Stafford Motor Speedway. Now, sometimes just sending a letter off or making a phone call doesn't always do the trick. Maybe sometimes you gotta go there and show your face and maybe have some printouts. Hey, this is what we do. You know, maybe that's something that needs to be. You know, I don't know. I don't know. They want to deny all but. Yeah, my races say they deny all but one. Now, I don't know who that one is, and I'm sure My Race News knows who it is. And I don't really get into the politics of, no, stop laughing, I really don't get into the politics of what goes on at racetracks. I mean, I used to. But I don't know. I know Mark Root very well. I've worked with him and met with him and chatted with him and argued with him many a times, especially when I was back in my race director days. I remember arguing with Mark Root over whether or not we should run a show or not back in 2004. Not too far from the day where Tommy Baldwin lost his life at Thompson. And the place, it rained all morning, most of the afternoon, and you know, Ed Cox and I, we were talking. We were going to pull the plug. We made a phone call down to Daytona to speak to the powers to be, and the powers to be said, "It's your call," you know. And so we met with Mark Root, and we said, "Mark, I don't even think we met. I think we called him, and because we couldn't find him, and within minutes, he was at a hauler in his SUV and came in the office, ranted and raving, and rightfully so, because, you know, he can't afford a rain out. It was one of those years that rained often, and he goes, let's go, you two, let's go. We get in his SUV, and he drives onto the racetrack, and he goes, Ed, Joe, if we don't run this race tonight, it'll be the last tour race ever scheduled here. With that, he comes off of turn 2, and mind you, it would rain all day. He punches out the gas pedal, and my head and my body buries into the seat. We're going down the backstretch. I don't know how fast we're going. And he makes the turn in 3. He goes, now if my truck could make this turn, I'm thinking the modifieds can too. We need to run this show. And we go in the office and we talk a little bit like, you know, grown men this time, and We ended up putting the show, but and I'll never forget this day, Howie Brody. And I was never a big Howie Brody fan, but he earned my respect this day because he said from the beginning, I'm not racing. They need to call this off. And when they didn't call it off, all of a sudden I saw Howie Brody load up. And a bunch of other people said they weren't going to race either, but he loaded up his race car. He closed the door to his trailer. He backed out of his side and he pulled out. He goes, I'm not doing this. Now, all the other big mouths that were with him, yeah, we're behind you. We got you. Nope. I earned a lot of respect for Howie that day. A lot of respect. But, oh, yes, WJ, I know who you're talking about. You know, yes. Yeah, I'm not going to mention the name, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. And I don't understand that myself. But, you know, it's like the politics of these places. You don't know what's behind the scenes. You know, and I know you. Anytime you request things, I've never heard you vicious or rude or nasty with anybody, especially when it comes to trying to get stuff for, from myracenews.com and people out there. And, many people they don't realize how many people you got, working for myracenews.com, and you often have to wonder, why that guy, not me? And I've been asking myself that question for a long time. But no, I think we all know who it is. We don't need to get into that. But race credentials. I walked around the racetrack last year. I think it was last year. And it's at a racetrack where the racetrack's going to remain nameless, but it's at a racetrack where the VIP sign in for free people have a different colored wristband, so it stands out. And I'm walking around the pit area, and I'm looking around, and and attention to detail. It's one of the things that I'm good at. One of the things, and I'm looking at a lot of people working on race cars with the VIP. I got in for free wristband, which, by the way, technically, when you sign in like that, you're not supposed to work on a race car. You're not supposed to do anything other than walk around. You're a fence grabber from the inside, as I call them. So now I was walking, I went into the stands. I was looking for my kids, and I'm walking down the backstretch in the grandstand, and you see a lot of empty seats, but I'd have to say that half the people I saw that night in the grandstand had get in for free wristbands. So I'm looking at, I see one of the people. I go up to him. I said, you signed in here? I said, yeah. I said, how come? I used to be a tour official. Yeah, I know you used to be. Well, they don't know that I'm not. Oh. I go to the next person. I see, you signed in VIP? Yeah. How does that happen? Well, I promote a racetrack. Promote a racetrack? Where? Upstate New York. Really? Don't they run on Saturdays? Yeah. Well, how come you're here and they're racing right now? Well, but it was a whole big long story. And here I am, a touring official, and they wouldn't let me sign in. I had to pay. And then I went inside and had a little chat, and I never had to pay again. But I don't know. It's just one of those things, But there's so many people that take advantage of racing, and you look about it. Think about this. Think about it. Yes, should certain people go in for free? Absolutely. Absolutely. The press, the media, whether you write for a newspaper or you have an internet site. Should they weed out some of these guys that come on, let's face it. There's people that are doing this from their bedrooms, and with their camera phone, and video recording themselves. And, I don't think that person deserves to be in there. But then there's the people that, I have a website, I have this, and they've been able to, BS their way into it. And maybe they're friends with the promoter, not the promoter, with the PR people, or maybe they're friends with an official who, I'll get you signed in, don't worry about it, and it gets out of control, you know. If you took away the freebies at some of these racetracks, the grandstands would be empty. But then again, it's the back gate that pays the bills. A lot of people don't realize that. The back gate pays the bills. What you bring in the back gate has to cover your purse, your sanction fees, your insurance, your payroll, and all your operating expenses. The front gate, the tickets, the grandstands, that's supposed to be your gravy. And then each one of those people that bought a ticket to come in and sit down and get their piece of the bleacher, so to speak, they're going to spend XYZ dollars at the concession stand. Whether they get a hamburger, a hot dog, a soda, a beer, whatever it might be, you know. But I know in today's economic times, a lot of these racetracks are saying no to a lot of credential people. Even you know, the last couple of years, even on the tour, we as officials, we were limited to 4 guests. Now, there's a way around that, and everybody did it. You know, like when we went to a certain racetrack up in New Hampshire, and I don't mean New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Monadnock. I didn't have any friends or people going up there, but one of my buddies who was an official, that's where he was from, so he needed people. But he used up his 4, and I put 4 on my list. And the same thing at Riverhead. You know, it seemed like my whole family and people who I hadn't seen since high school wanted to get on the list for free because, you know, I want to watch the modifieds. So each one of those guys, I go up to each one. You have any people coming to Riverhead? Can you put these couple on here? Can you put these couple on? Can you put these couple on? You know, but we all did it. But what happened was that got out of control too because there was one official who had crew members signed in on their guests and they're working on race cars, and it kind of ruined it for everybody. And promoters see that, and one of the promoters called NASCAR, wanted to know, why is so-and-so on this guest list? They're a crew chief for such and such. Why is this guy on the guest list? He's a retired driver. He's helping so-and-so. And it just ruined it for everybody else. So have they been scrutinizing the racetracks? Have they been scrutinizing who's going to get in and who's not? Yeah, they have. They haven't. Does it make it right? I'm not saying it makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying that, you know, when your attendance isn't what it once was, you have to cut the cord a little bit and limit the number of people who can come in. You know, not sticking up for Stafford here in this event because, you know, myraces.com is a real website, a real racing website with guys at tracks all over the place, and you know, because I get the updates on my Facebook, and you know, it's like there's a staff of 100 sometimes, you think, because between the pictures and the updates and who's at what track from New Hampshire down to South Carolina. But you know, you gotta wonder sometimes. And I don't know my races. I wouldn't give up yet. I really wouldn't give up yet. You know, sometimes. How did my publisher put it? He goes, it's not how many no's you get, it's the one yes, the first yes that you get. So I wouldn't give up. Yeah, anyway, that's so good. We're going to take a break. We come back. I got the Formula One results from the Chinese Grand Prix coming up when we come back.
Hey, this is Gina Cotillo from The Gina Show. Come join us every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for celebrity interviews, Reality Reel with Billy Charles, funny stories with Brian Kinnear, and much, much more. The Gina Show can be found only on InRadio.com, broadcasting to the world, so come and catch us.
Remember
over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
We're back. That was a long one, but hey, we got to pay the bills, you know. Anyway, the Formula One Grand Prix, the Chinese Grand Prix was won by Lewis Hamilton out of England, followed by Nico Rosberg, Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sebastian Vettel finishing fifth. The points after the fourth event of their 19-race season. Nico Rosberg is first in the points, with Lewis Hamilton second, Fernando Alonso third, Nico Hulkenberg fourth, and Sebastian Vettel fifth. Cup points, I know it's early in the season. Jeff Gordon is the point leader with a 1-point advantage over Matt Kenseth every lap, every point, it all means something. Carl Edwards third in points, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fourth, and Jimmy Johnson fifth in the point standings. And I'll tell you the way they're doing the chase. I'm not a fan of the chase. Everybody knows, but I'm sure NASCAR has its reasons for doing the chase, and then trying to tweak it to make it better. Nobody makes changes to make things worse. You're always hoping to make it better. I don't know. I was looking again through one of my old NASCAR books, and I'm looking at the points and how they work. And the bigger paying races got more points, and the low paying races only got a small amount of points. How about this? Whatever the race pays, that's how many points you get, and whoever makes the most money is the point leader. So you win the big ones. But no, I don't think that would work either. But you're looking, I don't know. You're looking at a complicated system. Do you want to reward consistency? Do you want to reward who wins the most races? What are you looking to reward? And I think with a 36 race season, you want to reward consistency. Now the chase, and I call it the playoffs. It's really like the playoffs, and you have to do certain things. You have to finish in the top, so to be in the points, and you have to win a race and to be in the points. So what does that mean? So the others who they don't count? I don't know. When somebody's running away with a big point advantage with 3-4 weeks left in the season, there's certain things that NASCAR could do to tighten that up. Some competition yellows, tighten up to make it a better race. I looked at some finishes years ago from back in the 60s and 70s where the winner had like a 4-lap lead over the second place. How does that happen? I don't know. 22 figure eight's telling us the Formula One race was flagged 1 lap early because the flag man screwed up. See, I didn't watch it. What was I doing this weekend? I'm trying to remember. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just running around doing stuff. And watching a Formula One race is tough for me, because I don't know a lot of these guys. Not that I know them personally, I go to the house and stuff, but I'm like, oh, okay. There's no single driver that's catching me. I want to watch that guy race. And I think that's what's missing in Formula One in today, is that there's no name recognition. Is there brand recognition? To a degree, but I'm not going to go run out and I don't know. I don't want to name a company and give them a free thing, but I'm not going to go run out and buy an Acme battery for my car because some guy from Italy is driving a car that's sponsored by Acme battery. But I might ship a pack by a UPS because I on a race car. Well, I wouldn't use FedEx, and those in the circle know why. But they do a fine job, FedEx, a real fine job. But I just don't understand, because the way the cars are built, and they're traveling billboards as well, but they're just hard to read. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know a lot of people that sit and watch Formula One races anymore. Like I said, there's no name recognition, there's no guy that says, I got to see if this guy went today. When I watched that movie Rush last summer, it was about that type of racing and what went on behind the scenes. Man, who knew? But you want to talk about a rich man's sport? That's a rich man's sport, Formula One racing. You think NASCAR has expenses? Oh, man. At least NASCAR, they pretty much stay in North America. They do. They stay in the United States for the most part. Maybe the nationwide goes to Canada, and you have the Mexico Series. And the Euro Series, they do their own thing in Europe. But, these guys are all over the globe. They're in, Africa, Asia, Canada, United States, China, everywhere, Tokyo, all over the place. Think about the logistics of that. Just crossing borders and customs and getting your equipment there. For what? But that's how it is. And different class of people that are running Formula One cars, and and the way they look and the way they act, the way they present themselves. And like I said, I don't watch a lot of Formula One racing, but you know, when you look at it, the few times that I do, I'm like, wow, these guys have their act together, and you know, they make it happen. And I'll tell you what, you know, a lot of it's for the most part road course stuff through cities and airports and things of that nature, and for the most part, they're not beating and banging each other. I mean, does that stuff happen? Absolutely. You know, I don't know. What do they say? The only way to support yourself racing through endorsements if the purses are so low, and the purses are low. You know, it's all relative. You know, I said last week that the winner of the Cup race got like $328,000 for the victory, and 9 times out of 10, the driver doesn't get that. It's not like in the 60s where the teams were driver owner were the same. You know, these drivers are on contract. They're under contract, and they get a salary, a weekly paycheck. You know, weekly paycheck. Do they get a little side action if there's a win, a top 3, a top 5, top 10? I'm sure it's all written into their contract. A lot of them, it's more endorsement driven, you know, stuff that they do for the sponsors. But when you think about what some of these teams are making, and they're not making money because their sponsors are shelling out, you know, $30 million a year, $25 million a year for the right to have their logo on a race car. And then, you know, these sponsors at the end of on a Monday, how'd we do? We watched, our marketing people say our logo was only viewed, for 6 minutes. Because TV minutes, that all equates as a whole big formula, your TV time. And what that equates to in dollars if you had to buy that. And I can remember when I was working for UPS, that was a big thing. How much TV time did we get? And there'd be meetings about that. How much TV time did we get? How many times is our logo visible? And to have it be visible, you need to be running up front because the camera guy's not focusing on 25th place. Hey, let's take a look at the back of the pack. We got so and so. They're battling for 26th and 27th place. They're not back there doing that. What they're doing is they're looking up front. They're looking at top 5. They're looking down pit road. The top 3 pull into the pits and do the split screens. Let's see who gets out first. And you're looking like, wow, that's my company. Whoa, that's good. It's all about exposure. And Formula One, it'll cost a lot of money to go do that. And some of these companies put up a lot of money, but a lot of the money comes from the manufacturers of these cars. I think Mercedes is blowing it away in Formula One with the manufacturers' points. I believe they have a 100-point lead over the second place. But back in the day, it was McLaren, Ferrari, things of that nature. Now, even in Indy, it's the manufacturers. It's big. But now in Indy, it's like there's only the majority of the cars are one manufacturer, one team, and not one team, but one manufacturer, and there's one other that has a couple of cars. So when you look at that, I'm like, wow, it's not like in NASCAR. NASCAR, you get your Ford, your Chevy, and your Toyota, and Dodge, no longer involved really. But again, when you think about it, the sponsors, that's what drives racing. And I have said this a million times. I went on and on last week about sponsorship and how to get it and what to do with it and how to keep it. And when you look at that, it's the return on the investment. The days of I got a fistful of $100 bills and I got to get rid of them are over. In the 50s, 60s, even in the 70s, was there a lot of what I call money laundering going on in racing? Absolutely. I mean, come on, let's face it. All these bootleggers, they had a lot of cash to get rid of. You can only spend so much, and before Uncle Sam starts looking. So what do? You go racing. You go racing, and that's what they did. A lot of it's for bragging rights. Hey, I got a fistful of $100 bills. I got to get rid of. Let's all get together at this track and see who's got the best. That's how this all started. For those of you who don't want to believe that, that's how this all started. But, you go back into the 30s and the 40s of stock car racing, prior to NASCAR, how many promoters would show up at a racetrack and promise these drivers the world, and they'll go out racing, and that guy, he's just there. He just rented a cornfield and drove some bleachers, and will convince the local guy with a horse track, let me run my stock cars over here. And as the cars are racing, he's counting the purse money, and he ain't putting in envelopes to hand out. He's putting in envelopes to put in a briefcase and go home. And that's when, Big Bill France showed up and said, this can't be. And, and I've never read this anywhere, but I bet you Bill France got screwed up with a lot of purse monies when his racing days were going on, and he probably figured, we got to do this. We got to do something so this doesn't happen. And, when one of the things that NASCAR was doing, and I don't know if they're doing it too much anymore, between wire funds and transfers and things of that nature. But it used to be, and I remember, the purse money had to be because NASCAR was paying these purses, the purse money had to be in the bank. It was 48 hours prior to the event. So what did they do? You guaranteed your money. Guaranteed your money. Now, a lot of the tracks, most tracks pay, you get a check in the mail, whether it's the weekly series or or from the NASCAR awards. You get a little check from those people. But there's a handful of tracks, a small handful of tracks that still pay out in cash, which, by the way, is okay, I guess. It's okay. I can remember one night at my local track here in Long Island, and Chad Little comes up to me with an envelope. I mean, a big envelope, a big manila envelope. It had the total purse in it for the. Chad goes, well, what am I supposed to do with that? So I had Score at the time, who was familiar with it. He goes, oh no, we have to break it up and put it into little envelopes and pay the teams. Chad goes, I'm not doing it. It had to be like 40, 50 grand. I was like, holy cow. It was back in the days when a local place here in Long Island was $6,000 to win. Now it's a third of that. But why is that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. But a lot of it has to do with the economy. A lot of it has to do with these other series that these teams are willing to race for $1,500 to win. A set of tires still costs the same amount, and 22 gallons of fuel still costs the same amount. But I'll tell you what, if you were to hold up a trophy and so, we got a parking lot out in such and such a town, and we're going to have a race here. Whoever wins is going to get this trophy. They're going to be there. That movie Field of Dreams about the baseball. Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Make a racetrack, you'll have race cars out. You may not have a lot in the beginning because a lot of people got to say, oh, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens there. Let's see if they treat that guy good. I don't know. Put the envelope in the trunk of my car. Yeah, I wish. But it's you look at purses that are paid. I was just at a safer meeting at Suffolk Association Figure Eight Race, and we were talking about purses, and we were talking about how the purse in the Figure Eight division here in Long Island has not changed. In fact, it's gone down over the last 15 or 20 years, and a lot of that. When I say the purse, the total purse paid out for the Figure Eights is if they have a full field, it's around $2,800, $2,790 something, whatever it is, and it's like $400 or $450 to win. But it's been that forever. Been that forever. And when you think about it, the pit fee has gone. The pit fee has tripled in 20 years, and not just here, like everywhere. The pit fees have tripled. The cost of a set of tires has gone through the roof. Racing fuel is insane. And I remember going to a track upstate to race and talk about control. Talk about control. A little guy comes over with a little cart. Need welding insurance? Now, for those who don't know, welding insurance is this. If you need welding done to your race car because of something broke in practice or the qualifying event or your race, whatever, you got to pay $1,000 to get it done. 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 $ You pay the welding insurance, whatever it might be, 5, 10, 12, 15, whatever it may be, and they fix it. No matter what it takes. Don't have welding insurance if it's a welding job and you got to pay the prevailing rate. So you got to go, yeah, I'll take welding insurance. So, because, all right, you got to go in the office, you got to buy it, they give you a ticket that proves that you bought it, and you give me the ticket and I put your car on the list. All right, so go all the way to the office, buy welding insurance, come back. Another guy goes, well, I said, where do we get fuel? Oh, you get it from the fuel guy. So I go to the fuel guy with a jug. I need 10 gallons. You got a ticket? What ticket? I don't pay you. No, you got to go to your office. You got to tell them how many gallons you want. They give you a ticket. Come pay me. And they, based on how many tickets you got is how many gallons of fuel you get. All the way back to the office. And that's how it was. And why is that? You know, I'm like, is the promoter making that much money on these things? And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe it was just a control thing. But I know at some racetracks, these vendors, as we call them, these vendors pay a fee. They pay a fee. They pay for the spot. Some racetracks, not only do they pay us a fee to be there as a vendor, but then there's, and I'm going to say the word kickback, but I don't mean in a bad way, but the owner or the promoter of the event gets a piece of the pie. So they get, you know, I don't know, 10 cents a gallon on the gas or 20 cents or 50 cents. I don't know. I'm not involved with that. You know, it's, I don't know. What are you guys talking about? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm back. I didn't go nowhere. But, you know, when you think about those things, think about, you know, a lot of people say, oh, that tire guy, look, he's charging, you know, whatever, $150 for a tire, $600 for a set. What are you kidding me? I went to a track and such, the same tire was $100. All right, well, first of all, maybe you went to that same track and it was in Minnesota, in the middle of nowhere, and the cost to get it there maybe isn't as great as to get things onto Long Island. I'm just saying, they're throwing it out there. But when you think about that, when you think about, he's got to get the tires there. And what track that? They got to get the tire there. And it's all based on the deal that the owners or the promoters made with the tire company and what percentage of the tires that they get. And is there a fee given back to the racetrack because they're an exclusive on, you know, Goodyear tires or whatever. You know, you look at the Cup Series, it's all Goodyear. It's all Goodyear. You know, years ago it was whatever tires you wanted to run with, but in NASCAR again, they able to police things. Everybody had to have the same tire. So now you go to the tire people, in this case Goodyear. I need X number of tires. I need, you know, how many sets of tires for so many teams and blah, blah, blah. And this is what we need. This is what we have to have. And because you're getting so many, the tires are supposed to be cheaper than you know, but it's all about, you know, again, people are quick to knock NASCAR and say, you know, oh, NASCAR's making all this. What does NASCAR make? Think about it. They don't promote NASCAR. It's like the NFL, you know. You know, you go to see the Jets or the Giants play, whatever they call that stadium now. It's had 3 names since its inception. When they go there, you know, it's the Jets and the Giants when they're playing who set the ticket prices, who set the food prices, and the owners of the facility decide that, you know, if you want to buy, you know, Jet season tickets or Giants, you have to have a license. You have to pay a license, a public licensing fee, or whatever it is, you know. The NFL has nothing to do with that, just like with NASCAR. And NASCAR has nothing to do with what the ticket prices are, what the prices are paid, and how much the food costs. NASCAR is just a sanctioner body that says, hey, we're going to put on a show. And they send letters out to all the possible competitors. Hey, we're gonna race at Speon Speedway, and the race is this day, and practice is that day, and qualify is this day, and we open the gates at this day and the time, and this is what we're paying to win, and this is what we're paying down the line, or the total purse is going to be XYZ dollars, and people show up. Sometimes not a lot of people, but they show up. You know, that's you know, the things that. I can't stress this enough because I'm you know, and you know, I know I got rid of my black hat. I'm not, you know, not the bad guy no more as people used to think I was, but I'm sticking up for NASCAR here because it's so true. I kind of get tired of hearing how NASCAR, you know, is ripping people off, and NASCAR is this, and NASCAR is that, and NASCAR is not doing the right thing. You know what? I know some race teams that aren't doing the right thing. Are there some promoters out there that aren't doing the right thing? Absolutely. Are there some track operators out there that aren't doing the right thing? Absolutely. Are there some facilities out there that are run by corporations not doing the right thing? You betcha. But you know what? All NASCAR, Mike Helton told me this at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He said, Joe, all we do here at NASCAR is put on a show. And our job is to put on the best show that we know how. And our job is to take care of the sponsors who pay to put this show on. And I got that lesson when I was up in the race control, and the race went green for a long, long time, and Mike Helton said, we need a commercial. And we had a commercial. And speaking of commercials, we're going to take a break. We're overdue. We'll be back.
Hey, Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On InRavio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
Hey, we're back. Hey, folks, if you're looking for something to do when there isn't a race in your local racetrack, check out the contest tab and enter to win tickets to one of the many shows at the Paramount in Huntington, Long Island, New York. Also, you can go to ParamountNY.com for a complete list of upcoming shows and to buy tickets. And remember, you got to be in it to win it. So check us out at InRavio.com. Go to the contest tab and take advantage of some of the nice, fine contests we have to get you into to see some nice shows. I've been there. It's pretty nice. It's pretty good. And you think you think you're in New York City. I mean, just China Park reminded me of it. No, there was a gazillion people there. What are you gonna do? And you got to get there way ahead of time. But it's awesome. A great facility and nice. It was comfortable. I don't think there's a bad seat in the house. If you're standing down on the floor, you're not going to get the same view as the people up, but it was well worth it. Well worth it. The Paramount, Huntington, New York. Anyway, what do we got going on? What did I see here? Let's see. Hey, listen, hold on to your seats for this one, folks, because you know me, and I turned over a new leaf, and not because I'm looking to get in that mod. I mean, I am. I got to go. It's like I got to go to nursery school first, then to kindergarten, then to grade school, and I got to work my way up. Driving a Champ car didn't qualify me for driving open wheel cars, but anyway. I want to congratulate Barbara and Jim Cromedy as the 2014 season will mark their 30th year since they purchased the facility in 1984, Riverhead Raceway, Riverhead, Long Island, New York. 30 years. It's the 30th season. But it's wow. That's an accomplishment. And prior to that, a lot of folks don't remember they ran Isis Speedway. They didn't own it, but they ran it. And And I know talking to Barbara and Jim Cromedy, and I remember saying to them one day, I said, why didn't you guys buy ISO Speedway? And they said it was never offered to us. The people that owned it came to us one day and said, this is the last season, we sold the property. That's what happened. And that's the truth. And now there's a cookie factory there, and a gym, and some furniture place, and a couple other things. And these people wish it was still a racetrack, because they only had to deal with the racetrack for 6 months out of the year on a Saturday night and an occasional Sunday. The cookie factory gets deliveries 24/7. And they have the smell of diesel, and the trucks idling, and the sound, and the noise, and the loading dock doors opening and closing. They don't, and of course the smell of cookies cooking all the time. And yes, 22 right there is a plaque on 111, one of those historical points. And I still, every time I drive past and I read that plaque, and it says that Bob Park won the last race there. He won the last modified race there. And there was a demolition derby that night, and I have this discussion with Gravel all the time, my buddy Gravel, world champion demolition derby expert. That to me, demolition derby, it's an event, it's not a race. But in my opinion, and you'll never tell me otherwise, that last race, ever race at ISO Speedway was a figure 8 race, and it was won by Tom Kraft. And that's what should be on that plaque. That's what should be on that plaque. And I'm not saying that because, he's my uncle, because I'm not. I'm saying it because that's a fact. You can't hide from the facts. He won the last race there, and that's what be on that plaque. No disrespect to Bob Park, who I've run into down in South at some of the races and events. He won the last, maybe back then the figure 8s weren't NASCAR, and then it won the last NASCAR event, but figure 8s were the last race. And the figure 8 race was won by Tom Kraft, and that's whose name should be on that plaque. It's just a historic plaque. And the history, is that, going back to the history, my daughter says, how do we know that people who wrote the history books, they didn't make this up? How do we know that happened that way? Look at this plaque. That guy didn't win the last race, but the historical plaque says he did. So that means he did. And and when I'm dead and buried, a lot of people aren't going to remember that. They're going to say, oh yeah, who's that guy Bob Park? Didn't his son run cup races? That's what it is. Yeah. I spent a lot of nights, a lot of Saturday nights at ISO Speedway. Not as many as I would like to. And basically, it was the only ones that. The only times I went was when my grandfather was able to convince my father that I could go. Because I've said on here before, my dad hated racing, hated everything about racing, and he saw it just as a waste of time, money, energy, and resources. There's more important things you can be doing, son, than sitting and watching cars go in a circle. And I think one day I made the mistake of saying, oh, they don't just all go in a circle, some in a figure 8s, and that was meant with a smack in the back of the head for being a wise guy. But, what are you going to do? But ISO Speedway, put some good races on there, some good shows. A lot of people don't know the Sprint Cup series was there. It wasn't called Sprint Cup back then. It was called the Grand National Division. Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, David Pearson, the guys that were running, the guys who ran Daytona were running ISO. It was Richard Petty goes, Islip. I remember telling Richard Petty, when I was at his place one day, and yes, I was at Richard Petty's place. Richard Petty said, where are you from? I said, Long Island. He goes, that's what I have that track, Islip. I said, yeah, I didn't understand what he was saying. He goes, yeah, that little 50 mile little thing. But last place was hitting first place on the pace laps. Yeah, that's the place. Yeah, but those were the days. Those were the days. Since what? We've been going there a long time, wow. We've been going there a long time. I think I first went to ISO Speedway. It was 1973, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why that sticks out, because when I did go, it was at Freeport back in those days. Went to Freeport Stadium, and I thought that was the Taj Mahal of racetracks, man. I really did. What did I know? It was the only track I ever went to. The only track I ever went to. Now I've been all over I've been all over North America, United States, Canada, Mexico, seeing racetracks, and thanks to NASCAR, giving me the opportunity to officiate in a touring series, and not just the modifieds, the K&M Pro Series, East and West, and a couple of truck races there, a couple of nationwide races, Sprint Cup at Daytona. I had a lot of fun with NASCAR, and the key word there was had. Being an official and became a job, and especially when the touring aspect of it got kind of taken over by headquarters. And not that that's a bad thing. They made a decision. And, Ed Cox, when he stepped in, Ed Cox did everything. He made, he scheduled the events. He spoke to the promoters. He was the resume committee, and I helped sometimes, and the resume committee, good bunch of people, and I mean that sincerely. And but it was different then. And don't get me wrong, we worked hard, and think when we had 40, 50 cars every week, just inspecting 40 and 50 cars. Think about it. In itself was an undertaking, and we worked hard, but we played hard. Just leave it at that. I have a lot of good memories working, as a tour official. I remember one of the first times that Chad Little came in as a series director. He didn't hang with us like Ed did. He didn't hang with us. When we were done for the day, we went to the restaurant for dinner. Chad didn't hang with us. So here we have is I'm trying to remember we were at Martinsville. That's what it was, at Martinsville. And we're at this restaurant, and all the officials, they always put us in this one room where they could shut the door, and because we were kind of rowdy, we liked to have a good time. And in walks Chad with his wife, and his neighbor, who we just made an official, and his wife, and this official was a friend of mine, John, and he was from Long Island, race modifies in Long Island, but he knew nobody, so he hung out with Chad. So they sat at a different table from us. Well, it was Chad Little's birthday. And we knew at this restaurant, if you told people that it was your birthday, they came over with a whipped cream cake with a candle. They sang happy birthday to you. And then after you blew out the candle, they mashed this whipped cream cake in your face. Now, we knew that. We knew that. And we're gonna get this Chad guy. We're gonna show him, listen, you need to be one of us, or you need, as one of the lady officials said, he needs to be one of us, or he needs to keep it moving. So we told him it was his birthday, and they go over there and they're singing happy birthday, and we go over to watch. And he's sitting there standing by like, who let the cat out of the bag? Now, you go online, Chad Little, you look him up, you Google him, you get his birthday. And they mashed this whipped cream in his face. He's not a happy camper. But then his wife starts licking it off. It was funny. And so he was mad. And then until that week, every night, his wife would talk to him and says, Chad, that just shows you, they've accepted you. And ever since then, he sat with us. And dinner became very interesting because we played credit card roulette. And for those who don't know what that is we'll all sit down, we all agree. Sit at the table, I all agree, and the waitress picks a credit card out of a hat at the end of the meal, and that's who pays for the bill. So but we had some fun. We had a lot of fun working, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't fun. And I don't know if it wasn't fun because I was an official for 18 years. I was sick of traveling. I don't know. It just stopped being fun. And then things changed. And I was doing a lot of traveling, working a lot of other series. Then I wasn't. I was like, And then you see these new young kids kid comes in, 18, 19 years old, and I remember saying something like, I said, so what experience do you have as an official? Did you race? No. Did you go to races? No. What experience do you have to make yourself an official? He goes, well, my dad plays golf with so-and-so. And I was like, huh? Oh, that's what I said. Your dad has to play golf with one of the bigwigs. Well, yeah. So I said, so you mean to tell me if we turned the modified upside down and said to you, show us the front and then show us the back, you couldn't do that? He goes, I would try, sir. He was a good Southern gentleman. I would try, sir. I said, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. You need to be able to say, that's the rear, that's the front. I said, even I can, and I'm not mechanically inclined. But nope. And he became so now the second season, nationwide series, and the third series is where I see him on pit road working cup races, and he's not pit stall number 43 either. Unbelievable. So it just became not fun to me anymore, and not that I was looking to move up and be, go work in Daytona, in the offices as a marketing guy. I did that because it was fun, and my, what was it, 12 seasons as a touring official. I had a great time and learned a lot of things, met a lot of nice people, and now I'm involved with some super nice people who when I get the green light, we're gonna go racing, and my crew chief who reminded me in a voicemail that I haven't called him in 3 weeks. DJ, I haven't called a lot of people last week. There's a lot of stuff's going on. A lot of stuff. I've been just so busy. But anyway, where do we go? We got some news to talk about. It's funny when there's no racing, there's not a lot. But anyway, let's see what we got going on. I got some notes here. All right, the Cup will be at Richmond this weekend with the Nationwide as well, and the K&N Pro Series East. But regarding NASCAR's focus on engine changes in Sprint Cup, now, we talked about this last week. They want to lower the horsepower. Longtime team owner Jack Roush feels such a move should involve restrictions on the intake side of the motor. Roush feels a reduction of the bore size without a plate underneath would accomplish the objective. This is the least expensive way, according to Roush. And if it doesn't work, it's the least expensive way to go back. Today's Cup engines are limited to 358 cubic inches and put out over 850 horsepower. Roush, who is now 72 years old and co-owner of Roush Fenway Racing and its 134 Cup victories, he is also co-owner of Roush Yates Engines. So I'm thinking he knows what he's talking about. And instead of taking all these blocks and throwing them away and starting all over, starting fresh, what he's saying, it makes a lot of sense, right? Change the intakes. Minor little changes, cost effective. What else? Clint Boyer. He got married in the Bahamas during the off week after a 4-month engagement to his new wife, I believe it's pronounced Laura, Lorra. An off week, went to the Bahamas. That was quick. 4 months engaged and married. Man, that's pretty quick. I thought I moved quick. But now, 4 months engaged. Man, oh man, oh man. Unbelievable. 4 months. But you know what? When you're in racing, what is he going to wait for November? Then they'll be dating like a whole, almost a year. Almost a whole year. But anyway, Clint Boyer, good guy. I met him once, and he was very friendly, very fan friendly. And to me, that's big. If you're not friendly to fans, and unlike that Juan Pablo guy who I watched him. I'll tell you, I'm going to tell this story. I probably told it when it happened a couple of years ago, but I was walking around Martinsville, and there was this lady walking around with the program open to it. Was a full-page picture of Juan Pablo, because his first or second year, this was his second year, I think, in the series, he was big. So there was like a full-page ad with him, and he was in it. So this woman is following him around the garage area, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Didn't want to interrupt him when he was talking, didn't want to interrupt him when he was in the men's room or by his race car in the garage, the stall. And finally she gets her opportunity. She has her book and she has her little, scripto pen. And she says, Juan Pablo, can you sign this? And he went, ma'am, I'm busy right now. And he turned around and walked away. The woman takes her program. She closes it. She puts it back in her bag. And I saw her eyes are welling up with tears. This was her hero. All she wanted was a signature. The guy could, as he was walking back, could have scribbled something on it for her. And I was with somebody at the weekend, and they were like, I'm going to write a letter to his sponsor. That's not right. He shouldn't have. That woman is crying. She fought. And for those who've never been in the infield at Martinsville, when you get 43 Cup cars and 30 some odd trucks and their haulers and all the NASCAR tech equipment, it's pretty crowded in the garage area at Martinsville. So you kind of see a lot of stuff going on. And again, this woman, she was devastated with us. Now, I think this is on Saturday. Now, Sunday comes along, Sunday morning early, and there's Juan Pablo again walking around. And, hey, Juan, can you sign this? No, I'm on the way to a meeting. Juan, can you sign? No, I'm on the way to my car. Juan, can you sign? And every time somebody wanted him to sign something, he was on his way to something. All of a sudden now he's walking with his car owner. And all of a sudden he's signing everything in sight. So the person I'm with says, I should go tell that man what he did to that woman. I was like, I'm writing a letter to his sponsor. Whatever, just please don't sign your name to it because you're a NASCAR guest. I don't want this nonsense. But you know, I don't know. It's and then there's some of them that hide, and then there's some of them that are right out there in the open. And it seems like the older regime seems to be out there in the open because they realize what got them to where they were, and that's the fans. If you don't take care of the fans, what do you got? And then the new, see, that was the other thing too. Some of the older guys, you could tell what team, how can you tell? Because they have a nice pair of slacks on, they have their team shirt on. And I'm not saying a billboard type shirt, but they have a little shirt, and you know, whatever it says, I don't know, Valvoline, STP, whatever, you know, or DuPont, Home Depot. Yeah, and some of them you can't tell who they are without their fire suits, but they have something on. Then you have the guys who, you know, they don't want the low-profile guys. They got a pair of blue jeans on, and they got a golf shirt, and the golf shirt, you know, says, you know, Joe's Saloon, bar, or whatever. It says something unrelated. They say, and I'm walking by, and I'm like, I'm standing there, actually, and I'm like, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. And I got my friend around, she's getting all these autographs and stuff, you know, in the program. And some of them are like, oh, you know who I am, you know. And then there's the ones that, you know, you walk behind their hauler and they see you and they come out and they talk to you. And then there's the ones that literally they walk with 6 people around them like a wall, like the Secret Service is around the president. You can't get to them. You know, these guys need to know where they came from. They really do. You know, they really do. And then Silverback, you know, that's an excellent idea. You know, unfortunately, you know, these guys are right on the edge now. They're blowing up motors. They want to take the power away, and the power will still be there with a gear rule. They want to take the power away. They realize these cars are going a little bit too fast. And you know, and the Generation 6 car, especially the one for 2014, which in my opinion is really Generation 7 because it's a little bit different from the Generation 6 car, but they're still calling it the Gen 6 car. They're different, and they could be a lot faster. And you know, I'll tell you what. Think about it. How many years ago did Bill Elliott go 212 miles an hour in a stock car? In a stock car, in a Sprint Cup car, Winston Cup car at the time, whatever they call it. It's basically a stock car. The aero package on that Ford Thunderbird was awesome. And that's probably around the time that you don't see this. Even though the cars are supposed to look like they do on the street, they kind of don't. They kind of don't. And, but you know, just in my opinion, put the drive back in the driver's hands. You know, an old-time local racetrack guy said to me, sometimes you got to drive this car with the gas pedal, not the steering wheel. That's how you have to turn it sometimes. That's how you have to avoid stuff. That's how you're not pedal to the metal all the time. You know, it's just one of the things. But I don't know. We're gonna take a break. I heard some staticky noise, and that was like the hint. We need to take a break, Joe. No, we need to take a break, and when we come back, we'll get ready to wrap up.
Hey, this is Gina Cotillo from The Gina Show. Come join us every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for celebrity interviews, Reality Reel with Billy Charles, funny stories with Brian Kinnear, and much, much more. The Gina Show can be found only on InRadio.com, broadcasting to the world. So come and catch us.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Hey, we're back. You don't forget Metal Maniacs follows me at 9 o'clock. I just saw one of the Metal Maniac, I think, guys floating around. Getting ready to hop into his new studio with nice chairs and nice carpeting in front of a drum set that I keep thinking I'm going to play one night. Maybe I'll play during one of their shows. I don't know. We got to do something. But anyway, yeah, Silverback was saying, change the noses, flatten up that windshield. Take the aero out of these cars. Take the restrictor plates out. Let them go racing, man. Man, I'll tell you. I'm an old stool guy, and like 22 figure the good old days, I remember when I was young, I says, oh, that freaking guy, he's talking about the old days back in his day. Nah, I've become that guy. I've become that guy. But yeah, you look at, like, I remember when Bobby Allison ran the Chevelle. Remember the Chevelle that he ran? That beat up old thing that he'd go to, on his way to the racetrack, he'd pull on the side of the road and go to a payphone and ask if there was a junkyard in the area so he could, go get parts. Imagine that. Now, a far cry from what Richard Petty did. Richard Petty always had stuff. A lot of people resented him because he had all this STP money. He wasn't, as some guy said once, I was watching in a talk show, the guy said, and he didn't share it. Why the heck should he share? It's like the guy in your local racetrack. Is he going to share his stuff with you? Come on. I don't know. But the arrow, as WJ, my racing says, the arrow is to keep the cars out of the seats. Absolutely, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. But they give them all this arrow, and then they give them restrictor plates, and then they want to take horsepower out of the motors. I think it's easier and less expensive, even less expensive, Jack Roush's theory of changing the ports in the intake. Take the arrow out. I don't think they're going to go flying into the grandstands. Not with the catch fences they have today. And you know what? It makes some good racing. Some good racing. Think about it. Think about how quick a modified is at Bristol and New Hampshire with restrictor plates, faster than the Cup cars with their 850 horsepower motors, and they're still faster because horsepower beats aero anytime. Chucky Stoyer said that to me one time, and he told me to pay attention to the times, the modifieds and the Cup cars. Pay attention. Horsepower beats out, and we're talking, we're not talking pure horsepower. We're talking torque. But the way a modified comes off the corner. Yeah, granted, it weighs a lot less, at least 2,750 pounds on average, as opposed to 3,300 pounds. But you know what? I'll take a modified stock car coming off a corner anytime. Anytime. Hopefully I get to do that real soon. It's funny, I have this nice pretty fire suit. I'm all dressed up. I don't know where to race yet. It looks like we're going to be waiting to Riverhead. And I think I mentioned a couple of shows ago that I was working on a Riverhead deal, and I was waiting for somebody to ask it. Nobody has, so I'm going to tell it because I don't want to give away too much information, but I had spoken to a car owner, a modified team owner at Riverhead about borrowing or using one of his race cars because I needed laps. I needed laps in an open wheel car. And the deal was like I said, that when I mentioned on the show, 99% there. Well, this team had a falling out with the racetrack, and it doesn't look like they're going to be racing there. So, he's not going to on his way to Mountain Speedway, let's say, whatever they call that place. He's not going to drop off a car for me to go play with while they go off the mountain. So I'll be back in the drawing board with the Riverhead deal, trying to figure out what we're doing there. But we'll be up at Stafford this weekend. I'm trying to get a ride in a SK car. If I can get some laps in an SK car at Stafford and drive it off the racetrack, then I take the excuses away from NASCAR. That's it. Evergreen Raceway Park. That's what it's called now. Wasn't it Evergreen once before? They keep changing names. But doesn't matter. It's still the racetrack, and it's still a fun place to go. I would have never went there on my own. And WJ, myracenews.com, convinced me to take the road trip. And I'm glad I did. I had a great time. And it was weird just sitting and watching racing. My races, because he knew, because I know I put WJ sometimes in the best one. Listen, WJ, I got to tell you this. It's between you and me. And I'll tell you what, in all the years I've known him, anytime I've said it's between you and me, that's where it stayed. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, no problem." Then what they do is they tell everyone, "Hey, look, know what I heard? Just don't tell nobody. It's you and me and you." And by the time you know it, 157,000 me and yous know what only one person was supposed to know. But anyway, that's what we're doing with my Riverhead deal. We're trying to get something happening for there, because I want to get some laps in there before the tour race, and not because I think I need the experience. I mean, I do, but 3/10 pole home. And I don't want to spend a gazillion dollars and do 2 laps. Because it's very expensive to race a tour mod. And when I say it's very expensive, just, think about getting my car there from Riverton, Connecticut. That's like 3-4 hours, and and they're going to drive around because they're in the northwest corner. The shop's in the northwest corner of Connecticut. Basically, you could throw a rock north and hit Massachusetts, and throw a rock west and hit New York State. So it's up there, and just fuel for the truck and whatnot to get down. Then 6 tires you got to get, so that's another, I don't know, whatever, $1,200-1,300. Right front goes for $1,000. So you're looking at $2,000. That's $1,000 a lap if you don't make it. I'm like, oh man, no, we gotta leave it. Man, you're right. I'm not going to tell too much, but that's basically where we're at. We're trying to make it happen. We're trying to put some things in place, and hopefully, like I said, get an SK car at Stafford and Waterford as well, and do some MRS stuff. The only good thing I see out of this whole thing with NASCAR kind of pulling the reins on me, I guess, is that in a season where there appear to be 6 or 7 rookies, I don't have an even shot at being rookie, and I'm not going to have enough races where it's going to affect my rookie status. So I'll have enough. I'll be able to go for Rookie of the Year next year because, hopefully I have all my races in place, and we'll see what next year brings with New Smyrna. I really need to. I just need to shut people up. That's what I need to do. So, does Ava's friend? They don't, but I know somebody who does, and we're negotiating for something. In fact, this just came into place today. Negotiating for an opportunity to rent a Sunoco mod, which is the equivalent of an SK, at Thompson, which will qualify me for the larger tracks if I can make that happen. And basically, as it was put to me, just show I can control it, show I can keep the wheels on it, and then we'll go from there. So I want to, like I said, take away all the excuses and do this. I'm not the same race car driver I was 20 years ago, as 22 figure eight will attest to. Him and I, man, my red car had sometimes some of his paint on mine, and I always had like a door that was just freshly painted and numbered, on his car. So I don't know. Well, what are you gonna do? It was the good old days. You look back and there's just certain guys you see like I was a magnet to. I don't know. I guess what I didn't learn then, and that I've learned now is you got to know who you could race with, who you got to let go by, and who you got to go by. And I thought I was. I thought I was like the I don't know. Let's not think what I thought. I just thought I was a lot better than I was. Because sitting in the grandstands, it looks real easy. And the Thompson, they don't have a wheeler modified tour race again until August. Which, if I can get, like I said, getting in the Sunoco modified, I think is what they call them. But hopefully we can get some laps in there, get some races in there. So anyway, let's see. Yeah. Everybody. Yeah, you guys. I like to get you guys going and talk about good stuff like that. But it's one of those things that when you're trying to bring, it's like being a baseball player. Your ultimate goal is to be in the major leagues and make the show, so to speak. And at my point in time in life, the major leagues to me is the wheeler modified tour, and although I never raced the modified at Riverhead, I raced everything else, and sometimes under a fake name, and we're not even going to go there. Well, that's my right hand man at times says, "Who's gonna know? Who's gonna know? I'll tell them you're in the bathroom. Don't worry." He always had like a way to get me in and out of things. But anyway, so I'm getting like this single. It's almost time. I can't believe this. Where has the time gone? 2 hours sometimes just doesn't seem long enough. And I believe I'm the only 2-hour show still here at In Radio. Not because, for any other reason, but that's how it worked out. But a 2-hour show. Who knows what the future will bring for the 505 on Racing Show? But I know I'm having fun, and I hope you guys and gals are enjoying it too. So anyway, we're gonna start rapping. What are you guys saying? Oh, better listen. Goggles Paisano, that was a good guy. Goggles Paisano. I never raced on it. I'm not gonna even tell you what names we used. Harvey Wallbanger. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, Harvey. Anyway. Hey, listen, folks, we're going to wrap up. Again, keep the Hyde family in your prayers this week. We lost a good guy. Again, we don't know what caused this or the whys and the why nots, but as Richard Petty said when he was utilizing his grandson Adam, you can't put a question mark where God already put a period. And my prayers are out to Kenny Hyde and his family as the staff of In Radio and the 505 on Racing Show offer our sincerest condolences to the Hyde family at this difficult time. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for being a part of my show tonight. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to tune in and talk some racing with me. Hope everybody has a good week. I hope to see some of you folks at Stafford. Tell somebody you love somebody, that you love them, and God bless you all. Be safe, be well. Good night.
InReview.com. The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Canfield, host of Nerdgasm.
I'm Joe Winchell. Nobody likes me.
And I'm Peppercorn Montgomery.
Tune in every Wednesday night only on InRavio.com to hear the greatest nerd discussion of all time. It is Nerdgasmic.
It'll be the best nerdgasm you've ever had.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or the flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural,
And organic.
but strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.